What is up, everybody? It is Crux of Crypto here. Well, Crux with Crux of Crypto, and I'm here to deliver the alpha of the day. Today has been a very surreal day. I'll tell you, I woke up fairly slow. Yesterday, we had a pretty significant event that kind of shook up all of our lives. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I think it's worth mentioning, just so you guys can hear my whole perspective on it. I mean, I was up until really 2 a.m. last night, and I'll tell you, it wasn't in a healthy manner. I stayed up late working out. I hit the gym, for 2.5 hours, all the way up until just about 11 p.m. before I started coming home, and then I just stayed up arguing with all these people I'd never even heard of on Facebook. So that's kind of where we're at this day and time, and I'll tell you, I would have been much better off if I just put my phone down. So I'm here to give you just the daily lesson. Go touch some grass, get outside, drink some water. Don't forget to hit the gym, because that's really one of the most important things. And then other than that, I think with the whole Charlie Kirk situation, don't let it get to your head. There's a lot of people that are trying to cause division right now, and we have to take it amongst ourselves to at least work as a team, work as a good spot, a good foundation for your family to rely on, and most importantly, understand what you're here for. So for me, Tim Shrum, we're here to preach the gospel and to understand that Jesus Christ is your savior. So always seek him first. So without further ado, I see a lot of people jumping in chat, and we see Trade Intuition. What's up, brother? Always first, man. I think that's 2 in a row. You were first on Tuesday, so that's awesome. And then Brandon kicking in with the second. Let's get it, Cruxy. We got Carl, Peace, Crux, and Chat. And then we got H. Bardano. I told him I would say it right this time. That's a little different because I like Cardano, I like H. Bar, and I see where you're going with that name. That is a name, one of a kind name. I was trying to get you to look at the SEC gold paper. I thought it was official from the SEC about H-bar. Okay. RDX, RDXRP. What's up, crypto freaks? I'll be in and out Thursday. I work a bit. That's good. This is just a good segment if you're not able to listen to the whole thing. Always think about tuning back in later. Again, my mind's a little bit rushing, like all over the place today. I didn't get much sleep last night. What up, BC Port Corp? That's another OG in the crypto space. He's over there creating his own content, so giving all of my creators their shout outs, because all of us that work together to push crypto is good. It's good for the space and overall. And unless you're just being a bear, which I don't hang out with bears. We hang out with kings, and the king of crypto is Caspa. Drink some water, change your socks, says H. Bardana. Hey, H. Bardana, you have to be in the military to say that. I don't know if you are, but that's definitely something I heard in the Army all the time as an infantry officer. Cat in the Hat, amen, Crux. Right. So before all of this, before crypto and all this other stuff, we are servants of Christ. So we want to make that clear. We're going to be bold on this take. If you need us in our community, we definitely have a Discord where there's a lot of communication going on in the general chats on this type of conversation, and we are here to help guide you. And that's what we do. Again, this is not finance advice, so we're not registered to help you make a ton of money, but we could tell you through experience what we're doing and how we've made a lot of money. So I feel like there's a lot to learn here. Brandon made it, my guy. What up, brother? My plume is looking pretty good. Hey, there's a lot of cryptos that are pumping today. Actually, earlier with the gem hunters, there's 3 different cryptos that were up. I want to say it was like 23% today. And there's only like 15 cryptos on the list, so that list is popping off today. The gem hunters, we are crushing over there. Quick little shout out, bro. Forgot about taking Motrin. Yep. Hey, Motrin solves everything. That's what my brother told me over the weekend. Well, at least most things. And then, what's up, bro? Says Daniel. Shout out to the gem hunters. Daniel, you're crushing it over there. Definitely good to do your portfolio review with you, brother. Thank you for letting me have a look at it and helping share my my thoughts on it. So, and then last thing, get Caspa over XRP hat. I'm gonna be honest. Usually I cut my hair and keep myself in good spirits, but as of lately, like, I just kind of this just hasn't been the week, let's just say that. So very long weekend. I got a little bit behind on the content. And I'm not going to make any excuses, but I'm here. I'm rocking XRP. I'm rocking Caspa. If you own one of those projects, put a 1 in chat. XRP and Caspa, put a 1. And if you didn't know, last week we had Mood Madness, which I'll go over here in a second. Mood Madness, Caspa beat XRP. That's why we got the crown. But I still rock with the XRP army. I love all you guys. Shout out XRP army. All right, that was a long introduction. And yeah, so one last thing before I get into this stuff, because it is 9/11. As a veteran, I think it's appropriate to give my take on the situation. Is the reason I personally served was because of that event. Whenever I was in high school, I was already enlisted in the Army. So I went straight from high school, 2 days, cap and gown, right into Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I started serving the country. And where was I? I was at one of my friends, well, actually my brother's friend's house. They played hockey together. So I live in Texas, Dallas, Texas at the time, and we played roller hockey. So there's a league called Select. This is like where the better players play. But again, it is Texas, so we play roller hockey. And yeah, I was at my brother's friend's house whenever it happened, and we just watched it all on the TV unfold. And I just knew from that moment that one day I need to get my payback, because I stand for everything this country, well, not everything, but I stand for most of what this country stands for, and I love it to the core. So if you're a veteran in here, shout out you guys. Also, everybody else, we went through this whole thing together, and we're still doing it. So we got the good fight ahead of us. All right, I see a ton of chatter, but I have to jump into some charts, or you guys are probably going to start hating me. So let's go ahead and jump into the overall state of the markets. Crypto sitting at, okay, we got a little pump, just over 4 trillion, 60 billion. Looking pretty solid. You could see the, I'm not even sharing my screen. You can see the green lights while we're on this screen. That usually indicates that it's a green day. And overall, I'm feeling pretty bullish, honestly. I think a lot of the trending cryptos and the top gainers are stuff that we haven't seen pump in a while, which is awesome. Ethena chain, I haven't even heard that project since the last bull market. So it's very interesting seeing the cryptos. Again, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm here 4 p.m. Eastern, and I go over all of these trending cryptocurrencies, because this is a lot of stuff that you won't hear about. And again, it lets me spotlight my talent. So a couple of them that I guess I have a couple thoughts on. Now, a couple of these I haven't even heard of, honestly. This one hasn't even been out a week yet. I have heard of Linea. It's an older currency, well, it's an older project, but just, I guess, launched its token. Pump.fun. All right. This is a good one. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. This one has been definitely recovering. It's a fairly new project in terms of how long there's price action on it. Remember, this thing is starting to actually pushing towards what it looks like could be a cup and handle. And cup and handles that have 6 months of price action or less typically are very bullish. So usually if it's too long to form the cup and handle, it usually, like, the probability isn't as high. The breakout's a little different in terms of how you measure the move. But yeah, I could see a lot of bullishness in this chart. Pump.fun is definitely recovering. I'm still Team Bonk. So if you didn't know, Pump.fun has just came through into the Solana ecosystem. They started fighting everybody. They're like, Radium, get out the way. Jupiter, get out the way. We're going to form our own chain. So they're looking to bypass everything. That's why I don't really like Pump.fun. But there's a lot of, there's potential there. I'm not going to lie. This project, it launched at just over 2 billion market cap, and we almost got back to it. So there's definitely some flavor left in that project. So Hyperliquid, I'll definitely be talking about this project today. There's a reason it's up. Let's move on. Solana, I talked about that on Tuesday's stream. I still think Solana, of all the major large caps, is the one to hold. Solana has been absolutely crushing it, not in terms of just 24-hour trading volume, but in terms of upgrades that are coming up. On my top 5 September video, I talked about, trying to remember the name, the Alpenglow upgrade, which is going to be the consensus change that Solana is going to push. They passed with the overwhelming majority. I think 91% of the validators approved this one. So expect Solana to be able to push from 15 15 seconds on average to reach finality on a transaction, all the way down to 1.5 seconds, which is insane. I think it's somewhere between like 0.5 and 1.5. Either way, expect the finality of Solana, which has been the number one issue that Solana's been facing, to finally be resolved. And this is not an easy fix. So think of this as something of the magnitude of when Ethereum chose to go to proof of stake, right? So it's a whole consensus change. It's not easy to do, but Solana, hey, I'm telling you, this is the ecosystem to look after. Ondo. So I'll talk about Ondo probably a little bit today. Now, this project with Ondo Global Markets, talked about that on Tuesday as well, is crushing it. They're already sitting at over 200 million in total value lock. And these stocks, unfortunately, are not available to you and me, but X stock by Solana, which I just talked about, is available to you. So as a retail investor, if I want to get access to tokenized Tesla, I go to Solana. X stock is the way to go. Institutions, though, are going towards Ondo Finance, and Ondo Finance is destroying X stock. So in terms of real world assets, the king of the space right now is currently Ondo. Because they were able to do all of this in just a week. I think they launched Ondo Markets last week, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely very bullish on Ondo. And a lot of people are like, finally, my bags are starting to wake up. And I told you, don't sell them. So in terms of Ethena, another trending crypto of the day, I'll get into that news. We got some WLFI. You know, I told you guys not to buy it, but, you know, not financial advice. I'm not a big advocate of investing in Donald Trump's crypto ventures, right? I believe in Donald Trump, at least a lot of what he stands for. But in terms of what he's doing in crypto, it's like he is pushing the regulation. This is what I agree with. But he is creating his own personal wealth over here. And he's doing it through Trump token and WLFI. USD1 is cool. That's the only project that I really affiliate myself with in terms of Donald Trump himself. But I don't know how to take it. Like, is this guy doing it for him and his family? Because Eric Trump just became a billionaire. Donald Trump wasn't a billionaire until Trump token launched. So this whole family is getting rich off of crypto, and they own the majority of the tokens. We're talking about 80% in terms of the tokenomics between the team and the early investors. So in order to make money, you're going to have to at least have the ability to sell. And if these guys have all the tokens, then it's going to become an issue, right? So I don't like to jump into those projects. And that's why I told you guys, I'm not going to buy. And if you look at the chart, you would have done better off not buying. So is it a good spot to buy now? Maybe. But again, I am very much a visionary. I invest in teams. And I don't see them doing anything beneficial for the space. USD1, I mean, it's just a stable coin. USDC, USDT. I can name 10, 15 other stable coins that are better than USD1, which Donald Trump chose to natively produce it on Binance chain of all chains. There's a very shady past. If you really want to know what some of his early ventures were, a lot of them weren't on American soil. So there's a lot of crypto exchanges that obviously populated in the United States and got pushed offshore because of regulation. Donald Trump invested in a lot of them that were offshore, and especially Asian markets. So I don't know if he has our best interest, but for me and my household, we are not grabbing WLFI. Okay. So I think that's enough for the trending cryptos. Overall state, you know, Bitcoin dominant sitting at 56%. It just, I mean, went up yesterday and then it's starting to come back down. You know, I'm not too sure exactly how to take the Bitcoin dominance, but I'll tell you, I think going into, you know, the later parts of this year that we eventually should get closer to 50%. That being said, I think Ethereum should soak up a lot of that very soon. And then I think it's going to push down to the Solana's XRP. Shout out XRP Army. X is in chat if you got some XRP. And then also eventually down to the mid caps and the SUIs and the hyper liquids, etc. So if you own any of those cryptos that I talked about, you know, be proactive, push it. You know, Twitter, push it in the chat here. You know, let people know. crypto is not going to grow by itself. We have to work together to push this stuff, and that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to make a dollar or anything. I'm here to push the word of crypto. So let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of Q&A, and then I'll go into the news. The news is going to be a little bit short-lived today because I'm not a big fan of all the articles, but there's a couple of them that are pretty good. Some bullish catalysts, I'll tell you. Moho says Kita says a few individuals own a majority of the tokens, easy to dump on us. Moho, so the way that so 50% of the Kita supply is going to the early investors and the team. That's a very big portion. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a big portion. You know, in 2025, I think a solid team and like a solid team and investors allocation of tokens, I think is closer to maybe 30%. These guys have 50, but you can get away with 50 if you have huge partnerships and huge investors, right? At least it's bearable, right? And also, Kita has done something different than any other ecosystem has done, which is what they've done is they've created Kita Inc. and they created the tokens. They lock the tokens behind Kita Inc. and then they distribute it to the investors as equity of the company. So they cannot dump the tokens on you. They got their equity of the company, which holds the token. So this is something I've never heard of, which is pretty dope. And again, a lot of projects in crypto, they come through, they create something, and then everything else evolves off of that. So for example, Caspa has the direct acyclic graph, a whole different, whole different data structure than what a blockchain is. And then you have like the Move programming language like Sui, very scalable to challenge Rust. And then eventually all of these different ecosystems get absorbed into, the better ones, and they continue to evolve. And it's just crazy to see in 15 years where we've come from Bitcoin, as slow as it is. And it's still doing its thing. I'm still a pretty big advocate of what Bitcoin is as a store of store of value, sorry. Definitely not standing with Jack Dorsey on that. Jack Dorsey says Bitcoin is a medium of exchange, and if we don't allow it to become one, I disagree with Jack, and I feel like I have some valid points on that. All right, so don't expect to get dumped on with Kita, Moho. Brandon says, I actually joined 9/7/2011. FMF, Hospital Corpsman, 10 years. Good stuff. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, Brandon, you're from H-Town, right? Houston, Texas. Stand up. Daniel, thank you for your service. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I was enlisted and I was an officer in the Army. So I was enlisted as a vertical engineer. I did carpentry and masonry. So I basically built stuff. And then when I became an officer, I went infantry. And yeah, I had a pretty good time out there. So by pretty good time, I meant like spending my days in the woods for 2 months at a time, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so another thank you. I appreciate it, Count the Hat. See a lot of people coming through. Sup, Crux, C-Low. What up, brother? MetaMask L2 Linea. Right. Okay, thank you, Faden. I knew Linea was out there. I've heard it many, many times. Here's the thing. Not everything needs a token in crypto. There's a lot of different use cases that you can definitely help out all these platforms, these create decentralized apps and these types of things, but you don't always need a token for everything. So something like, MetaMask. Now, L2, it doesn't have to be clearly only used by MetaMask, but, any form of scaling solution helps Ethereum as a whole. So the unfortunate part of Ethereum is it has scaling solutions, but it's also a fortunate part. So it's like a security trade-off for scalability. There's use cases for L2s. I think they're Band-Aids. I don't think L2s survive past the next, start of the next decade. So maybe another 5 years. But again, we have layer ones right now that are absolutely crushing it. That can do everything a scaling solution and a L1 does. So just like I talked about the evolution of cryptos, Caspa, the trilemma has been solved. And the trilemma is only really needed for a peer-to-peer, medium of exchange. So we don't have to have like the cool gaming network solve the trilemma, right? We can have centralization behind something like SUI or Solana, but we cannot have centralization between who can stop you from sending money. That is crucial. So that's what Bitcoin has started for us, but we've perfected it over there. And there's very few things I see other blockchains doing that Caspa is unable to solve. So, king of crypto, if you hold Caspa, throw a K in chat. All right. And dang, there's a lot of comments. You guys are active today. All right, Leaf, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Not square. Crux. No thick skin needed. It is my intention to compliment you on your growing following and stronger. Let's get it. Yeah, appreciate it. So ever since I started the live streams about a month ago, my channel has been going parabolic. I want to say like I was just over 2K subscribers a month ago, and it took me 6 months. I think it took me like 7 or 8 months to get to those 2K, and I'm already at like 3.3 or something, 3.4. So, you know, month to month, I'm up like 3x on. I'm up 3x on like subscriber growth, but I'm up like 6x on watch time views and watch time hours. So you guys apparently like what I'm saying, and I'm here to preach the good word of crypto. So I'm just a crypto head. You know, I love what we're doing here in the digital ledger space. Crux, your Caspa people are showing up and whooping Link on Moon. What? All right. That was what I was about to get into next. Oh, man. Okay. So I have not participated in this poll yet because I wanted to do it with you guys. The very next thing was going into Moon Madness. For those that don't know, that are sleeping under a rock, we got something called Moon Madness going on. What is Moon Madness? The top 32 cryptocurrencies. Yes, Caspa made the list at number 31 because we did not accept the stable coins nor the exchange tokens like Binance and some of those other exchange tokens like crypto.com, for example. So we're trying to find what is the best altcoin out there, right? And what you can do is go to Tim Warren's channel. I posted the link in the description below. It says Moon Madness, and it'll go right to this Twitter page. And then you would scroll down and it will show you these polls, right? So we're about to find out together who is winning, Caspa or Link. And I'll tell you right now, if Link is winning this poll, I will go and put my Link hat on, right? But if not, you know, I told everyone I was not going to tamper with these results. The last one, Link showed, Caspa showed up. We had over 2,000 votes on just Caspa. The entire poll was 2,600. We smoked XRP, but I'm not going to tamper with this one. I'm just going to do my poll and move on. So let's go, Cass. And yep, so that is what I call the Crux effect. But we'll have to run Moon Madness back again because Caspa will not be losing this year. And there's a little bit of tampering going on, and I will not tamper in the next one. All right, so Arbitrum and Doge. I like both of these. Like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of scaling solutions right now. Dogecoin, Doge OS is coming out as soon as this month, possibly, at least by Q4 this year. Doge OS allows people to program on the network. So, well, Doge OS allows programmability on the Doge network. So now you can start bringing NFTs and you can start developing on Doge much easier. And that should be coming here shortly within the next couple months. And then also Elon Musk's lawyer, he just headed the treasury of the Dogecoin, first ever Dogecoin treasury. So over $200 million that's being stored over there. You know, if the world's richest guy's lawyer is doing something, you should be following suit. So don't expect Dogecoin to go anywhere. Doge is going to be winning this battle. Boom. And it's closer than I thought, but Doge, it should pull off. So we got Tau and XMR. Tau should definitely be winning this one. Yeah, Tau. I'm going to say Tau by 70 to 30. Okay, 88. So even more. And I think that's the last batch, right? And then there's some from a couple days ago, whatever. Make sure you participate. You know, we're having a good time over there. I'm not going to be tampering anymore. I have a good time with it. I think it's an awesome concept. And every couple months, we may be bringing it back. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the next news article. This is an interesting one. This is why you see Hyperliquid and you see Ethena on the thumbnail. So if you hold either Hyperliquid or Ethena, go ahead and post which one you hold in the chat. If you hold both of them, post both of them. I like both of them personally, but we just had a fallout. I didn't want to make like a versus type video because it's not really a versus type situation, and they're two different use cases. But this is, I think, is this one of the founders? Yep, founder of Ethena Labs, right? So Ethena Labs, they created Ethena. Ethena is an algorithmic stablecoin, blah, 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 or they produced an algorithmic stablecoin. Basically what happened is Hyperliquid's team was looking at using stablecoins within their network, but then USDH got announced, which is their native stablecoin. So we have seen Hyperliquid basically turn down this partnership, and this is the founder of Ethena saying, that's fine, we're doing just good, and we have bullish news on our own. So we have been Mega Matrix, this isn't like some major company or anything, but they're still rolling the ball, so to say, on betting on Ethena. So Ethena is still able to get these partnerships, not all of them. Hyperliquid would have been a much better one, but this is pretty cool. This analyst is saying that they have a much better chance than Circle, for example, to make money on. So they have their individual ticker, but I actually agree. So USDE, which is the algorithmic stablecoin built on Ethena, is backed by Bitcoin and Ethereum, as opposed to all these other USDCs, USDTs, which is backed by dollars and or equivalents. So you can have like stocks, you can have treasury bills and all this other stuff. USDE, I really appreciate this stablecoin. I want this one to win out of all of them. And look, it's the fastest growth of any stablecoin ever. USDE reached a $12 billion circulation supply in only 18 months. So the stablecoin race is on. RLUSD isn't even in the top 10 yet, and that was a huge catalyst for Ripple to start pumping. But continue to watch which stablecoins are doing what. Honestly, it's not a massive competition. If I go buy some DAI, which is a stablecoin, or if I buy some whatever, for the most part, as long as it has a solid market cap, you're pretty safe, right? It's not FDIC insured, so that's something important to note. But stablecoins is really probably going to be the biggest use case for crypto in the very near future, if we're wanting if we're wanting businesses to accept our crypto. We have to do it through something that we understand, and we all understand the value of a dollar, right? So if I wanted to go buy an Expo marker, for example, I don't know how much Bitcoin I need to use, but maybe that marker is probably like $3 maybe. So we all understand the value of a dollar, and that's why it's bridged into crypto, right? So USDE, Ethena, that is what you're betting on. And with the Genius Act that just passed, you are in good standings. So, and then also, this is going to be my last article before I get into some Q&A. VanEck, and this is really just go off the Hyperliquid news, just to show you both Hyperliquid and Ethena are doing very well and why they were trending earlier today. VanEck plans US ETF and European ETP for Hyperliquid. So ETFs, you hear this over and over and over again, and you're getting beat upside the head with it. And we still really only have two major ones. We have Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are like the major ETFs that we have. And I'm just here to tell you, it doesn't stop there. We're in the very early stages of crypto. If you're able to get access to crypto before the ETF launches, you're usually in a very good standing. So we still have access to get Hype, for example, even though it's in its very first bull market and the price has honestly gone parabolic. It's not too late. These are still, we think about like 12, 13 billion market cap, but Solana last bull market in November 2021 was sitting at like 70 or 80 billion, So a lot of these projects today are more valuable than Solana in 2021. And it's just a good way to kind of gauge where we're headed. Crypto adoption is here. Stable coins are continuously on-ramping onto all your favorite networks. Solana, Tether just partnered with Bitcoin. Stable coins are the on-ramp for the masses and the institutions. So that's what we're seeing. Very important. You have regulation, which, you have a ton of regulators pushing the Genius Act. Hopefully, the Bitcoin Act of 2025 allows us to get 1 million Bitcoin across the next 5 years. That's being pushed by Cynthia Loomis, and that would be through selling gold. So, our gold at Fort Knox, acquiring some Bitcoin. I think that would be a very good strategy, honestly. And there's yeah, so the regulation's very important, and the on-ramping of stablecoins. That's bigger than everything else. Now next would be ETFs. So I just gave you some ETF news, some stablecoin news. I didn't give you the crazy, this is the next 20x gem, but that is setting the foundation before we're able to really snipe those types of plays. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of Q&A with you guys. Go back. All right. Oh, or CeeLo. All right, CeeLo. I didn't know you were a Marine. Okay, so a Marine. I thought there were no veteran Marines. What's going on there? What years did you serve, CeeLo? Definitely. Thank you for your service, brother. All right. Pushing Caspa as I jumped in. Thanks for your recommendation. Yeah, man. I'm always gonna. Well, for the time being, Caspa is my favorite project, and honestly, I think it'll forever be. There's very few things that could take it out. The number one issue with Caspa that I have that none of us can answer, the emission schedule. That is very sketchy. So for those that don't know, it has a year-long emission schedule as opposed to Bitcoin's 4-year. So it actually halves 4 times faster than Bitcoin. So we're in untapped territory. But in a couple ways, that's good. Why? Because it allows a ton of crypto to go into circulation. And whenever you have a ton of crypto in circulation, at that point, it's, more and more competitive to get what's remaining. So if we had a very slow emission rate, it doesn't encourage the adoption so quickly. So what we did with Caspa is we tried to front run it. So by 2035, all the Caspa, 100% of the Caspa should be mined by 2035, which is 10 years from now. But in about 120 years from now or something, all the Bitcoin should be mined. So I'm not sure which one's going to be the better option. I'm betting on Caspa because Caspa is definitely the more superior technology. In terms of the tokenomics or the emission schedule, I just don't know. So that's basically what I'm kind of waiting on. I think we're very early to the party. I think Caspa can definitely be a multi-$100 billion market cap and maybe even higher. So we will see. Is Internet Computer Protocol going to have a place in history, or was locking some of my ICP for 8 years not the wisest choice? Your opinion, says Not Square. That's a good question. So ICP, let's go ahead and pull up this chart. Internet Computer Protocol. So they have something similar to like Jasmine and some other projects where their price instantly drops. And this is very common in crypto. Insiders get it, it dumps, it allows it to naturally go up and right from there. If it's a solid project, 2.6 billion market cap is pretty solid. Let's see in terms of where it was. It is not showing very good recovery in terms of where it was in April, May of this year. So as a lot of projects fell from the December, January highs earlier this year, they've had a pretty solid recovery. We've had tokens like SBX hit like a 6-7x from where it was a couple months ago, right? So why is this meme coin going up 6 and 7x? And my next scalable blockchain that's supposed to be the next best thing, we had ties to Google, like ICP was supposed to be it. It's because the TVL. So total value lock is what all the decentralized applications combined is worth, and nobody, well, I'm not gonna say nobody, there's only one notable app that's built on ICP. So for example, Ethereum may have Lido, it may have Aave, it may have Maple Finance, or all these other, decentralized apps built on it. You have to have people built on your ecosystem and lock in value for it to give it value, because other than that, you're just a shell. You're just a peer-to-peer network, right? And in crypto, that's not going to cut it, right? So for Caspa, for example, Caspa has no smart contracts. We've completed the trilemma. We've made the perfect peer-to-peer currency, but it's not going to cut it. Why? Because smart contracts exist. Ethereum brought programmability to the perfect currency, and at that point, that's whenever you have the ability to create apps and lock in value. And through doing so, you can borrow and lend. You can do all these different things with your crypto. And ICP has struggled to do so, as you can see. Will it get past, back to its all-time high? Definitely not its all-time high, at least in terms of this bull market. You're sitting at what? Well, I'm not gonna say definitely. That would be a 10x or so, maybe like an 18x at the current prices. It's doable. Going back as early as last year, we pushed about an 8 bill market cap, so only about 50% down from its all-time high. So I mean, it's doable. There's so many horses in this race at this point. In my, I'm not going to put my money there, honestly. And I have like 50 different cryptos, and I don't own ICP. So that's kind of just my take. I've kind of had a sore thumb on it, like ever since last bull market when I saw that horrific price action. But yeah, some people may make a lot of money on it. I just need to see that super app before we see the run up. All right, I see a lot of K's in chat. Whit Noble, I see you. Faden, and these are all for the Caspa holders. I'm not the face of Caspa, clearly. There's a lot of bigger content creators out there than me, but I'm getting the respect, and that's what it's all about. With Caspa, it's a whole different vibe, right? So if you hear me talk about Solana or Sui, you could put two and two together and say Solana and Sui are paying me, right? And I will admit I've been approached by teams to push projects, but I've never taken one, right? So everything I say is what I personally think, and it's without any biases. It's not like I'm paid to say these things, but Caspa is really the only one other than like Bitcoin at this point that for 100% certainty they are not paying you. We do have a foundation with Caspa, so I will say that, and the foundation is able to provide value through certain ways, but I'll tell you, that's not me. I am doing it for the good efforts of where I believe this technology is headed, and that is up and right. Pushing Caspa, oh yeah, I just read that one. Crux, with regard to Ethena's USDE, it's unclear to me if the Stablecoin Act creates clear regulation framework for synthetic dollars as it does with stablecoins. Can you cover this sometime? K-True, that is a very good question. And that all boils down to regulation, right? What is regulation saying has to back your tokenized product? And this goes to definitely like the verbiage of it, right? Whenever you hear like stable coins, the most effective way, in my opinion, secure wise, is to have a dollar to back the token, right? Because, bonds and stuff, all this other stuff that may back it is volatile in a sense. Not exactly the most volatile. It's not like it's Tesla stock or Oracle that just popped yesterday. It's all about what the regulators are saying. So in terms of stablecoin adoption, there's nothing that I've seen so far that says you cannot create an algorithmic stablecoin. So the difference between an algorithmic and a normal stablecoin backed by a like a treasury or just funds, is the fact that crypto is what's backing it, and also smart contracts is what controls it. So that's something very important to note. Is there's definitely risks with synthetic cryptos, with synthetic stablecoins. If you look at what happened to Terra Luna last bull market, and I was definitely a victim of that one. So I own no Luna, but I lost like $22,000 in like 48 hours overnight, which was a stablecoin that went to zero. And that's because algorithmic stablecoins are secured by smart contracts. So that is what the Bitcoin community is fighting over right now. Should Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Knots be the one that's going to head the network forward? And this is all about programmability on the base layer. So if I add programmability to something, it adds security risk, and that's big. So if you add, it's kind of like, if you're able to make the perfect crypto, it needs to be programmable, but you have to have the security measures in place. Kind of the difference between like what Apple is in Android. Android's real, break things fast. Let's get adopted quickly, whatever. Apple's like, let's take it slow. Let's make it secure. I think of Apple very similar to Cardano. And then I think like Android's very similar to Solana. So that's kind of a way to look at it in terms of adoption. So Faden says Camino breaking out on the weekly from a 266-day wedge. Watch out, it's a gem. Yeah, we looked at Camino last week. Check out Fundamental Fridays tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, right. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't been in our Discord server, first of all, what are you doing? We have a session called Fundamental Fridays, which I've been doing well over a year, and I'll go 1 to 2 hours with you guys. You can come on stage, you can ask me questions. It's super fun. It's very personal, so we're getting in there. We're checking out gems. We're having fun in there. So again, it's Fundamental Fridays tomorrow at this same time. And I will definitely open up Camino because you deserve it. Camino is one of the biggest applications. I think the third biggest decentralized app on Solana. And it needs some respect. So I'll check it out for you. BC 50 watching, 25 likes. Smash that like. And I agree with BC. Look, I even made a banner. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and look. Follow me on X and join Discord. I just talked about Discord. It is a hidden gem in the space, and there's tons of alpha. We're here 6 days a week. The only day we're not really creating content is Sunday. And between mine and Tim's channels, there's live streams 4 days a week. So I go Tuesday, Thursday. Tim goes actually 5 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we cover you guys with the alpha 5 days a week. And then the days I'm streaming, Tim's dropping static videos. The days he's streaming, I'm dropping static videos. So this is the idea, is we want to give you guys our live, and you could tell from my static videos, I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty scripted, right? Crux, you probably, you're a scripter, you're an actor, whatever, but I write the scripts completely. So I'm fully there writing the scripts. That's why I understand so much about crypto, is because I'm the researcher, I'm the scripter, I'm doing all this stuff. And with the live, you get it like raw. It's like, it's super, I'm able to tell you just like without it being so scripted. So I think that's a net positive for where we're headed in this community. And, the numbers are presenting themselves. So thank you, Crux. Bad news on ICP, but I own it and will at least for eight more years. Yeah. So there's a lot of cryptocurrencies you can lock up for a very extended amount of time. I'm not a big fan of that. Honestly, I don't even stake any of my crypto. And I'm not telling anybody to go do that. But the reason I don't stake is because I lived through May 2021. I lived through all of these horrific crashes. Bitcoin last cycle, there's 3 times Bitcoin dropped 30%, 30 in a single 24-hour period. Way different than this cycle. We had 30% pullbacks this entire market, and it took months. So last bull market was like, what's going on? Way more volatile. It's a lot easier to stomach this stuff. To me, this is simple. I can watch my portfolio go down tens of thousands in a day, and I'm okay. It is what it is. It's part of the process, and over time you'll develop calluses on your fingers. Just make sure over time you get them diamond hands, because that's what we're headed for. All right, so Caspa breakout, says Alexander Cobb. Let's see. If Caspa's not above 8 cents, Alexander Cobb, you owe me 10 push-ups. Okay, so 8.5. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's getting there. I'm not going to say this is definitely not a breakout. We are getting higher lows. I'll give you that. We are also getting lower highs. I'll give you that. So we're forming that wedge, and it doesn't look like we have much time to really break out or break down. So I'm hoping we break up, very diehard Caspa fan. As long as we're in a bull market, that thing's going to break up. I'll tell you that. So Caspa is the GOAT. All right, enlarge trade TradFi and crypto investment groups. Members for 2 years held on to AUKI maybe, but recent listings on MEXC got me to buy. Can you review in a future show Alki Labs? Yeah, go ahead and jump into Fundamental Fridays tomorrow with that question. I got you. All right, Fusion, are you thinking CAS is the next cycle token before it hits the major gains? All right, and this is somebody that I covered Caspa 2 years ago. There's a channel. Um, yeah. So Piper Academy is another channel I was with. I made a Caspa video like 2 years ago over there. I've been bullish on Caspa for a long time. This is way before the crescendo. Crescendo was like a couple months ago. This is way before like the major run-ups. And what I like most about it is just first of all, the peer-to-peer or proof of work network. It sets apart itself from most things because proof of work is showing that you can't just invest as an angel investor and quickly get rich, right? So it's the fastest way to push to a lot of people without institutions and people getting rich off of it. It's the most fair. So that's what really brought me to it. But overall, you're saying, is the next bull market the one? I think it is. Look at study the chart of Caspa and study the chart of Bitcoin. They look very similar in terms of adoption, right? What you don't want to do is compare Caspa to Sui or Caspa to Hyperliquid, right? Sui and Hyperliquid both launched this bull market, right? So Sui, for example, is almost as old as Caspa in terms of tokens, token launches. Now we know Sui came from Miston Labs, which worked as former ex-Meta employees, so they already had a whole thing established. We know Caspa has been, rooted from OG Bitcoiners. So Yonatan Sampolinsky, Aviv Zohar, they were back there way back in 2012 on the Bitcoin forums pushing for, DAGs and stuff like that. So both of those cryptos, they're not new in terms of like development, but they're new in terms of tokens. And tokens is how we invest, and that's how we look to quote unquote get rich, right? I support Caspa because I think it's the best medium of exchange, and just the way that it's taken a while to jump into the next cycle, I think is healthy. That's what Bitcoin did, and there's no better crypto to follow than Bitcoin. So those are my thoughts. Kenny G. Kenny, I wore this XRP hat for you, Kenny. So hope you're rocking with it. I see you very active in Discord too. Appreciate that. Alexander Cobb, 17.5 cents. I'm 90% sure of. H. Bardano Bean, Crux, does your research consist of articles, videos? Right. So I'm guessing you're asking, how do I do my analysis on my videos? I'll be honest. So what I mainly do is I do a lot of Twitter feeds. So as an analyst, the fastest way to get reputable information is through Twitter. Twitter is going to be very fast, very go-to. This is where the founder is. This is where everybody that understands the ecosystem is presenting information. And even whenever I do these live streams, I usually find a very solid article out there, and I try to find a Twitter post because it's effective at presenting information. So yeah, I would say Twitter is definitely going to be your best way as an analyst to gather information. And then secondly would be going on like CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap and just constantly looking around, like, how do I figure this website out, right? If I'm looking at the trending cryptocurrencies every single day, right, which I do, I look at these multiple times a day. So you can see Kita, we just got a little pop. Let's go, Kita. If you got some Kita, throw K's in chat. If you got some Kita, throw K's in chat. Yeah, so it's very important to understand how to, okay, this doesn't show it. Interesting. So if I do a drop down, it won't show it, but if I change the screen, it will. So for example, by market cap, you can search tokens by market cap, by categories. This is important. If you understand how to find the hot niches in crypto, then you can find the hot plays. So I can come down here. Let's look for, I don't know, made in China cryptos. I can tell you Tron's going to run this one. But you can see how different categories move in relation to everything else. And I'll tell you, made in China cryptocurrencies are going to operate much different than even Bitcoin. So that's why I'm a pretty big fan of some of them. There's a couple good bangers in there. But you got to get familiar with the websites if you really want to analyze cryptos. And while I have this screen pulled up, I'm going to go ahead and jump into more news. This has been a hefty conversation in Q&A. I went very long-winded there. But I have a lot of news to continue showing you guys. So let's go ahead and pull up my favorite story of the day. So Avalanche. If you got some Avalanche, throw A's in chat. Avalanche, throw A's. is seeking to raise $1 billion for 2 crypto treasury companies, with the money raised to be used to buy millions of AVAX at a discount. You know, this, to me, you understand tokenomics, right? Let's say you create a cryptocurrency, you have tokens over here, they're allocated to future development of just future development in general, right? And let's just say Avalanche, it launches at 10 cents, it goes all the way up to 30 cents, right? And then you still have these tokens that you created out of thin air. And instead of selling it to these people at 30 cents, hey, I'll sell you X amount for 20 cents, at a 33% discount. You're going to have a lot of investors that very much want that, So Avalanche, I don't think is going to have an issue raising that $1 billion, going back to this article, at all. So, and who are these two? You have, actually, I think it's in the third one. Let's see. I forgot exactly the names of these two investors, but they are, right here, Hivemind Capital and Dragonfly Capital. So they're the ones leading the strategic funding. And I would love to buy some AVAX at a discount. The unfortunate part is we never get these opportunities retail. So that's it. That's a crappy part about being in crypto is all of these, like, the odds are kind of against you. If you own excuse me, if you own a multi-billion-dollar fund that's able to get these kind of deals, and okay, but for us, we have to fight against this. I can see it as a bearish take too. Like, essentially it dilutes your holdings, right? If you bought your Avalanche at 30 cents and then now all of this money gets put into the ecosystem, they got it at 20, as soon as they get those tokens, they could sell already and get a 33% ROI on it. So I'm sure there's going to be a lockup period, and there's a lot more behind that news event. But this is a pretty kind of a fun event on, like, what does this mean, right? So Avalanche, they're going out, they're accumulating $1 billion through just token sales. And Saylor did something similar, who has accumulated 3% of the Bitcoin supply, right? So Fundstrat has accumulated 1.4% of the ETH supply. And what they've done is they've done this with Avalanche. And they're saying if this happens, 8.15% of the supply is owned by Fundstrat. 8.5% would be owned by this company. And then that would be a 44x at today's prices. So, is this financial advice? It's not. It's just a fun little activity to show you that your Avalanche has a ton of potential to go up very soon. And I'm riding the wave, but I may be riding the wave. I don't know if I'm choosing Team Sui or Team Avalanche. So this video, unfortunately, it was supposed to drop tomorrow. And I'm going to push it out to next week because last night, again, I was in the gym for 2.5 hours. I didn't get any sleep last night because I was arguing with people on Facebook that I will never see in my life. And again, touching grass is the best thing you can do sometimes. And I got a little bit behind in my work, in my content creation, but I think that's okay. I think you guys will forgive me. This video is going to be good. I'll tell you, it's not exactly what you think at face value. Both of these market caps are very similar. You have an OG over there with AVAX who's been around for 2 bull markets. And then you have the newcomer on the block, fueled by the institutional adoption. And I own both. So if I can only choose one, which one is it? Make your guesses in the chat. And yeah. All right, so I still got a good amount of time and articles I still have to present. So let's jump into a quick session of Q&A, and then I'll knock out those last articles, and then we'll go on about our merry way. There are Marine vets, just no ex-Marines. Okay, that makes sense, CeeLo. Thank you for clearing that one up. Appreciate your service, brother. Pudgy or Pepe? Hey, Daniel, that is a good question. So, Pengu, you got the new NFT runner. You have the meme community behind them. You have institutions behind Pengu. Pepe doesn't have that same institutional adoption yet. Yet is a key word. Matt Fury and that whole ecosystem is on fire. Was it a 2023, 2024 like early runner that's going to die off? I don't think so. I still think Brett, Pepe, Andy, and Wolf. I own all four of them. Those are all the Ethereum tokens, though. So I didn't get the base Andy and all these other crazy ones. I just got the Ethereum ones. And I chose the Ethereum team because Pepe's ERC20. So I'm a rock with Pepe. In terms of Pudgy or Pepe, that's a really good, that's a toss up. I'm going with Pudgy. Pudgy. I'm not fading the institutions in 2025 because that's where quick liquidity comes from. And Pepe just hasn't showed me what it can do in 2025 yet. It has showed me what it can do in 2023 and 2024. So, and if you were following me, if you were following Shrum and Tim on Investing Bros back in 2023, we talked about Pepe the day it launched. So, we also talked about Myro. We talked about all of this stuff. And that's why I always say you get rich in bear markets. When we had 50 people viewing, well, right now I got 54, but when all three of us had 50 people, and nobody was really watching our content, that was the time to watch it, apparently. So this is very important to note. I want you guys to pay attention. Right now we're at the peak of a bull market. It's easy to pull a lot of viewers, but whenever you're doing the hard work and you're watching your portfolio down, or, you're able to get some dry powder for the bear market, telling you, pay attention because that's how you get rich. All right, 93 to 97 active and 98 to 2000 reserves. Okay, CeeLo. Shout out CeeLo. Camino breaking out in the weekly. I think I talked about that earlier. Toshi versus Brett. Y'all want a ton of verse videos, huh? Actually, verse videos are my best producing videos, so you guys definitely love those. Toshi versus Brett. That's easy for me. That's Toshi. Toshi is becoming the bonk of the base ecosystem. They have a launch pad. They have NF Toshis. They have a lot going on. I like what Toshi's doing. Brett, just like Pepe, had its run in 2024 last year. And I'm not 100% sure it's going to be back. So that's just something to consider. All right. Let's see what other, I'm kind of up here reading these comments. Let's see. How do I jump into fundamental projects tomorrow to learn from you about Alki? Yeah, so Not Square, down in the description below, you'll see a link to Discord. It says Tim Warren Discord. And all you got to do is verify yourself, join the Discord, verify yourself, and then you'll see a stage. A stage is something you can access to give you a position to hear what I got to say, and you'll see the stage go live at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard tomorrow. And it'll be very easy to find once you're in that Discord server. So usually we'll get like 30, 40 concurrent people. So that means they're in there listening. But within that 2-hour period, usually like hundreds come and go. So it's just a very cool, and it's not just me. So I'll bring people up on the stage. We'll talk about stuff. You'll hear views from our community. And that's what I love about it. That's why it's not going anywhere, because Fundamental Fridays is my favorite 2 hours of the week. So definitely, you don't want to miss that. And other people that have been there, let them know in the comments. I don't want to speak on behalf of my own work. I'll let y'all speak for me. All right. So Crypto AI says, H. Bardano Bean, I believe Crux and Tim offer a course on TA on their Discord. Yeah, so we have a couple different memberships down there. So it all depends on what you're looking for. So this is how I'd break it down. Just real quick pitch on our memberships. The first one is called the Essentials. The Essentials is more or less you have experience trading and you're looking to join a VIP trading group, and we have tons of pros. We have 5 different pros in there, and then we have a lot of people that are, some of them are better than pro, so, or maybe better than one of the pros. So that's something to consider. Is there's a lot of people that are very smart in there. In terms of the Academy, which is the second tier, we have videos created by myself and Tim, where you're either learning on how to trade or how to do analysis, right? I'm the fundamental guru. Tim is the TA guru. And together we make a 1-2 punch, and the Academy is the way, right? So if you're like brand new into trading, I'm telling you, that's the best way to learn. And honestly, the coolest part about this is I'll be going through the entire Academy in the bear market. So I'm thinking 2026, and I'm going to be doing it with you guys. And also, whenever I'll be able to pull up TradingView and then show you guys like how these breakout patterns, I think that's what's going to separate me from like most other, YouTubers, because I feel like I already understand crypto better than 99% of the content creators out there. And again, not patting myself on the back, but writing these scripts, producing this content, I learn a ton. I don't have somebody writing for me. It'd be super easy if somebody wrote me a script. I just stood there and read it, in front of a teleprompter. But I do all the research, and that's why I know know most of things in terms of crypto. So I just don't understand how to, draw these wedges on TradingView and all this stuff. So the Academy, I'll be able to vouch for it personally going through it starting next year. And then our last one's the Gem Hunters. We got a couple Gem Hunters in chat, Daniel Peterson, and actually we just hit, I think, 13, if I'm not mistaken. So there's 13 different Gem Hunters, and we just started just 2 months ago. So this thing is growing quickly. We are finding some of these gems. There's been multiple gems that have popped 2x's within a 24-hour period. I think at least 3 or 4, maybe even more, within a 24-hour period out of 15 have popped for a 2x. So the thing about like understanding how to do tokenomics and understanding how to do research and all this stuff, it goes all the way down to the lowest level, to the point where you can do research on social sentiment, right? So you're asking me what's the difference between Toshi and Brett. There's a way I can do analysis on it without looking at a chart or doing this other stuff. So that's what I teach with the Gem Hunters. We are crushing it over there. So yeah, I think one I just called like 3 days ago. It's already up 2x. So let's see. I've been telling all my trader friends about your show. We trade some of this stuff, but don't understand them. Yeah, there you go, Alex. See, there's 2 parts to crypto. I mean, there's multiple. I'm sure there's much more, but fundamental analysis and technical analysis. I understand fundamentals. I'm really good at fundamentals. And I will always be much better at fundamentals than technicals. But the thing about technicals is if crypto was to die out or whatever, I could still go make money with stocks, with all this stuff, because all you got to do is know how to read a chart. There's crazy amount of, psychology that goes behind trading. And if you understand, like, there's moon cycles, there's all this stuff where there's X amount of probability if it's a falling or rising wedge, what's the measured move. There's so many different ways that if you know what to trade and what to buy, you will be just a beast in crypto. And that's what we offer with the Academy. So check out those memberships, and yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, Alex Cobb. Daniel, he says he likes the Gem Hunters. Crypto death battle. Not too sure which 2 cryptos you want to go to death battle on. Maybe we do a H-bar versus Cardano. I'm just kidding. I've already done that video. I'm actually curious, H-Bardano Bean, which one did you choose? So I'm not going to spoil it, which one I chose, but I want to hear what H-Bardano chose for his H-Bar versus Cardano. If you can only hold one, right? Very interesting. Why is ADA held down? ADA is held down because of the adoption. The adoption is very slow because they chose the decentralization, the security route over the institutions, right? Institutions, how you get rich fast, but very centralized. So when you look at Sui and Solana, that is a perfect example of what institutions can do. If you look at Hyperliquid, that's what institutions can do. These are cryptocurrencies that have broken into the top 15 within its first bull market. That is not normal. As a matter of fact, Trump token, a meme token, jumped right into the top, I think 15, maybe 20 on day one. So institutions are extremely powerful. You do not want to fade them. So that's something to consider. ADA is not really, I mean, they're fading the institutions, honestly. Charles Hoskinson has been open about CBDC, right? He thinks USDC is going to be the on-ramp of a CBDC. And he could be very much right. So that's his opinion on why he's not going to have it on his network, or there's no EVM compatibility on Cardano. And there's a huge amount of flaws. All these other networks, they all use EVM compatibility because that's where the developing activity is. That's where a lot of this other stuff is. And honestly, if you really think about it, that's the difference between Android and Apple. So very few people are going to learn how to code in this Apple specific language, right? So it's going to be more secure because nobody's going to learn how to code in Apple to hack somebody, right? But if I know how to code and do whatever over here on Android, I can create apps freely and I can hack very easily. So that's the difference between having a native programming language used on your core technology or your base, your your core layer. So written in Haskell, Cardano is very effective in terms of security, but its adoption is very slow. And honestly, ADA is dragging its feet still. So they're trying to do something with RLUSD. They're trying to do something with what was the other one? It wasn't USDC or USDT. I know it was RLUSD and USD1. So Trump stablecoin. These are all just like, just get it. Just go get it, right? Every other network is doing it, you know. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know, but I don't know. Y'all tell me if you're, what are your thoughts on it? Should Cardano choose to go the centralized route and help your bags out? Or should they remain loyal to their USDM core where the community will put money into crypto and you, me, and everybody else will put liquidity into the stablecoin? And after 2 years, it gets to like 15 billion TVL when these other networks are going up to, you know, tens of billions or even over 100 billion like USDT. All right. H bar versus Ondo, says Kenny G. I mean, market cap wise, you easily have to go H bar. It's just the higher crypto. So there's way more. In terms of investment, though, a Ondo, man, Ondo's doing something I did not expect it to do like 3 weeks ago. With Ondo Global Markets, I did not expect it to gain this much value, over 200 mil on Ondo Global Markets. And that's purely the institutions, remember. And that's not even the institutions in America, right? So Ondo does not allow financial products like OUSG to Americans at all. So you have to KYC from another country to get access to any of these products like USDY, etc. So they've already created over 200 million in under a week worth of total value lock in that ecosystem without American activity. And Ondo is absolutely crushing it. And that's why their price is doing very well as of late. So I knew you were XRP Maxi, says Retro Mike Tech. Hey, Retro. So I was in the gym yesterday and then Retro Mike Tech came through with like a hashtag chain link type post, whatever. He wanted the Link Marines to win, but I told everybody I'm not going to skew the results. I will not share this post. I will tell you, I have some sway in the Caspa community. And Retro Mike Tech, you know, the bots, they love me. So I'm able to assemble all the bots, you know, and that's why we're smoking Link. And if you don't know the results yet, it's like 70 to 30. And also, I'm a Link Marine, so that's why I try to stay as unbiased on this one. But Caspa, man, Caspa is going to take this one. And we were number 31 going into a 32 team Moon Madness. And I'm already talking like as if we won. We have 2 more weeks. We have next week, which we're probably going to have to verse somebody like, what is it? No, maybe, no, because Ondo lost to Chainlink. I'm not sure who we have to verse week 3, but hear me out right now. If you don't hear anything else, week 4 is going to be the biggest one because I can guarantee you it's going to be Sui versus Caspa. And that's going to be the one that's going to break the records, the gate record. We're going to have a ton of posts on that one. So y'all stay informed on what's going on with Moon Madness. It's pretty cool. We'll run it back. You know, I won't tamper next time. And yeah, so centralization is king. Right. Caspa is king. We ain't doing none of that centralization stuff. Actually, I'm rocking an XRP hat. That's pretty, all right. Green lighting in the background day. Yeah. Honestly, I put the green lighting on today because today was just a bad day. You know, yesterday was a bad day, which led to today being a bit bad day. And I'm like, nah, we're going green today. So that's why it's green. Hope you guys like it. Crux, I got free media passes for you in the mining convention in Texas. If you wear a Cass and Trash shirt. Free media pass for you in the mining convention. I'm not going to no mining convention. Do I look like a miner to you? Definitely not. I don't mind crypto, but I'll tell you, Retro, thank you for what you do to the space. Guys, go follow Retro Mike Tech. He is a stud when it comes to understanding how mining works and proof of work networks. I'm actually a pretty big believer of proof of stake network. So it's pretty cool that he's over here on my channel. And I say that with Cas would be my favorite network of all, but I think proof of stake is better than proof of work in many cases because it allows you to secure the network and get the highest ROI yield, right? So for right now, with proof of work networks, I have to go get a miner and I have to use electricity, and then I have to pay this miner off, right? And it usually takes about a year, 2 years to pay the miner off, as opposed to I can go buy Cardano, I can stake it, and tomorrow I could already be making, 3% APY on my Cardano, and then Cardano could be up and right from there. So proof of stake networks are the better one in terms of if I want to become rich. But the one if I want to create a better, decentralized secure network is going to be proof of work. And it's because of people like Retro Mike Tech. And if you don't understand the difference between these, definitely follow his channel. It's on X. And I think he has a YouTube as well. So very smart guy over there. Joe Bro says Chainlink integrated with Microsoft for Bonko Enter for trades finance. I heard Chainlink integrated. I didn't know it was Microsoft. Dang, okay. That's pretty big. I wonder if that's a new story. I mean, Chainlink's partnering with everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if Chainlink partners with Amazon. They are absolutely crushing it. That network is the most interoperable network in all of crypto. And that's not even close. Chainlink is in everything. And also, Charles Hoskinson, who I just told you is against centralization, said he wants Aave and Chainlink, right? So that just goes to show, these are two networks that are both interoperable, but they can also play the decentralization role if they have to. So that's something to consider. If like that is one thing, if you are creating a cryptocurrency, and Caspa better not fail on this, you better add Chainlink. And I'm gonna be, if Caspa doesn't do it, I'm gonna be all up on Twitter. Like, we have to get this. Like, that's the one network we have to be interoperable with. If I had a second option, it's gonna probably be USDT, right? So I'm gonna want a Oracle that's bringing real world data on the blockchain, and I'm gonna go with RLUSD. I'm going with RLUSD. Shout out XRP Army. We're going with RLUSD as my second pick. And yes, it's centralized. It is what it is. But I prefer the way that they're doing things as opposed to USDT and USDC. So I don't know. Cryptony says Caspa only. All right. So Cryptony, let me explain why I don't think that's the best option. Even though today is a green day for Caspa, we'll give it that. Follow Cardano. Cardano with USDM. Please study it. They tried to make this stable coin. They tried to come together as a community, and it just didn't pan out, right? So now they're, trying to find all these different stable coins to help, and USD1 will be definitely a suitable source, but with Caspa, we don't want that, right? If Cardano's having issues after it hit well over $30 billion market cap previously, trying to gain liquidity, then Caspa, it's going to be a nightmare trying to get people to on ramp. So right now with Caspa, I'm super happy where we're at. We have the ultimate peer-to-peer network. Get out the way, everyone else. We've solved the trilemma, and you can fight me on that. But this smart contract. So Igra Labs was supposed to launch it like at the 31st, so almost 2 weeks ago. And they ended up pulling back. I have my thoughts on that. I'm a little upset about it, but whatever. Take your time. Do what you got to do. I would appreciate it if they would have informed me before I'm about to drop a video. But Caspa, this with the smart contracts is going to be very interesting which direction we go, because a lot of these other companies like Sui, Miston Labs or Ethena Labs, they have a ton of just capital to do whatever they want. They can go get listed on every exchange they want tomorrow. Caspa, we don't have that luxury. So every single thing we do, just like Bitcoin, has to be meticulously planned. And that's what I love about it. We have to come together as some smart individuals and defeat the Retro Mike Techs of the world who are telling us Cas is trash, So if you own some K, throw it in chat. K, Let's go. Cas only doesn't survive. It needs other networks to survive. Retro, I'm like crypto as a whole. Even Bitcoin just, had their partnership with Tether. USDT, the fourth biggest cryptocurrency out there, is going to Bitcoin. So there's, yeah. So you got Lightning, you got Liquid, you got all these side chains, layer twos built on Bitcoin. Even Bitcoin needs other networks to continue going forward. So I think it's fair that Caspa, we find our select networks and, don't see it as competition, see it as just a partnership. So CAS is a proof of work based Satoshi Nakamoto consensus. It's an actual currency. Cardano is not that. Yeah, so a proof of work has nothing really to do with adoption. Adoption is completely on who is investing into it and who's looking to buy it. So whether it's proof of work or proof of stake, Caspa will have the same issues Cardano has. So just because it's a proof of work network doesn't mean it's going to get a ton of on-chain capital through investors and stablecoin liquidity. Caspa needs no other network to serve. Okay, Kryptoni, I love you, bro. And thank you for supporting the stream. You're always here. I appreciate it. But take it from someone who does research on cryptos. Like you've seen my channel. This is what I do for a living. I look into all this stuff. And the one thing that makes all of these cryptocurrencies fail to adopt is going to be the on-chain liquidity. If you cannot figure it out, you're going to have issues. And apparently I don't understand entropy. So I don't know. I'm going to take this L, Kryptoni. Maybe we can go on Discord with this conversation. Yeah, so Crypto AI is saying, I hope smart contracts doesn't mess up the first chain to solve the trilemma. I agree. I do agree. So my second biggest hold is Crypto AI. Caspa at one point this cycle was my biggest hold. I've had a couple cryptocurrencies over, like Solana and a couple others, just shoot right by it, but that's okay. I think Caspa is a long-term hold. If I can only hold 3 cryptocurrencies for 10 years, Caspa is one of them. And if there's other 2 for 10 years, I'm going Caspa, probably Caspa Sui, and probably Aave. Let's go. Y'all didn't expect that one. Aave is the biggest decentralized app in crypto, $35 billion in borrowing and lending protocol. It is dope. I love Aave. Bro, I've been in crypto way longer than you, Crux. I promise you, I love you, but for real. All right, Kryptoni. We'll have to disagree. But Fundamental Fridays is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. I'm running a little long. I just read through all of these comments. I didn't read through all the news, so let me quickly go through these and then we're done. Do I want to cover this one? No, I don't. Do I want to cover this one? All right, yeah, I'll quickly cover this one. So XRP, their ETF just got postponed, unfortunately. It is what it is. That's why I wore the hat, is to rally you guys. Like, it's okay. We don't need the ETF done tomorrow. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they have their ETFs. We've seen the price surges that happen after ETF adoption, more for Bitcoin than Ethereum, but I think the Ethereum is still going to come in the coming weeks. XRP, I think hopefully by the end of this year, could be, and really this isn't XRP alone. This is Dogecoin. This is AVAX. This is a couple different cryptos, actually at least 10 different cryptos that we're going to have with over a 90% probability rate to be approved this year. So there's a chart that's going around on Twitter, and it talks about all of these different ETF applications that are currently in process. And, you know, there's at least, I want to say 20 that have a 90% acceptance rate this year. And this is the type of stuff that is going to happen for the 4-year cycle to break. Would it be it? And that's the only reason I want to bring that article up. I'm not going to talk too much about OpenAI. I mean, the only thing I want to talk about this one, WorldCoin. Everyone's asking me, Crux, why is WorldCoin pumping? It's because of this. It is because of this. If you know anything about NVIDIA in Q1 of last year, they became the #1 company in the world by market cap, and that's why Render became super bullish in the first 2 quarters of last year. So OpenAI, they come through, they form this partnership with Oracle $300 billion in 5 years to enhance AI cloud computing. And yeah, that's going to pour over into WorldCoin, which is tied to Sam A, which is the founder of AI. Well, the father of AI. They're calling him by name the father of AI. I ain't calling him that, but that's his nickname. Now, think of it like this. The person who understands AI the most is going to be the best person to consult when you're looking at how to secure yourself against it. So if Sam Altman is telling us we need to use biometrics to get on chain, we need to do this, this is how you create a digital identity, I'm not fading him because he understands what AI is way better than I do, or really anybody else in this chat. And yeah, so I actually like the way WorldCoin is going. I know it sounds weird, sounds dystopic, but it's pretty cool, you know, so go check them out. They had that big partnership with Oracle, and Elon Musk became the second richest person yesterday because of this. This other guy, his net worth went up $100 billion. Insane. I think Elon Musk will eventually, you know, he has a much more lucrative business model, so he'll probably overcome that, but we'll see. And then just a quick little note, U.S. weekly jobless claims reached the highest level since 2021. If the jobless claims go up, expect the interest rate to go down. So this improves the chances of us lowering interest rates. And currently we're sitting at like 85% probability that the interest rate drops here in a couple of days. So that's all I got for you guys. Let's see, Crux, is it safe to click welcome link in Discord Tim Warren channel welcome guide? Is it safe to click welcome link and I don't exactly. Yeah, so once you get into that Discord server, there's a welcome channel, and then there's a get verified button, and then you get verified, and you should see all of the different channels in the Discord server. There's, well, the free channels, it's like 10 of them. There's one called Crypto, one called General, and those types of things. So make sure you're not accepting any DMs. Myself, Tim, Shrum, Smay, Rufia, Silent, none of us will DM you. You know, so that's something to consider. There's a lot of people that reach out to you when you join. And dang, Kryptoni, you got some strong emotions today, brother. This is just not the day. But tomorrow for sure. I was in before Jeb was and watched it. Okay, yeah. Crypto AI, I believe BlackRock hasn't filed for XRP ETF yet, have they? I did see a BlackRock commercial on TV, though. They want more customers. Yeah, so BlackRock has multiple crypto ETFs. So they have an IBIT one and they have a Ethena. Now, the big thing is how do we get Ethereum staking in our Ethena? So that's going to be the biggest thing going forward. And yeah, so thank you for all this alpha and for answering your questions. God bless us, Cat in the Hat. Thank you, Cat in the Hat. You were around the entire stream. You were here before I started, and you're still here. So I've been going an hour and 23 minutes. Wow. You guys are loving this content, and I love you guys. So Not Square says, the link asks you to leave Discord, but it is a welcome. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so if the link is taking you to like a YouTube, that's perfectly fine, right? So as long as it's nothing sketchy, a video is fine. So, all right, you heard it here first. Retro Mike Tech is the GOAT. That being said, smash that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys on Tuesday. Also, on either Monday, yeah, I might actually drop that AVAX versus SUI video on Monday. We'll see. I'll get with my editor and see if we want to launch that then. If the markets are super bullish, probably, but we'll try that. Love you, brother, fellow Caspian. Appreciate, hey, Kryptoni, we may one day become the biggest Caspa channel, you know? So that's going to be the goal. I know there's, Caspa Silver and these other ones. In terms of Caspa, I won't be the biggest Caspa channel, but I may be the biggest channel that is bullish on Caspa. So that's what I mean by that. Those dedicated channels out there, I love those guys. They are, they understand Caspa better than I do. So I don't see them as competition. I see them as a resource. And understand this. You go look at Moon Madness, and yes, I'm the one that initially rallied everybody, but I'm hands off. I don't do anything else. Caspa is doing it from here. I'm just here for the show. And those guys are carrying the reins. And that's why Caspa is smoking Chainlink. Smoking Chainlink. And who would have thought? The number 31 currency. We smacked XRP last week. Where you at? And then, yeah, 2 weeks from now, we got Sui. So pay attention. Caspa is here to stay. Ran long, but full of good alpha. Yeah, not. So usually I go 1 hour, but if I'm watching the concurrent, I'm up 57. I'm at basically my entire streamer. Well, today's high. So I'm looking at the concurrent. And until it dwindles, I'll be here answering questions. As long as y'all are shooting them off, I got you. I'm going to change your name to Crux of Crypto with the backwards K. Oh, I like that. I like it. Man. All right. Who knows? You heard it here first, Retro Mike. If you one day see a backward K to lead off Crux, and I'm probably not going to give you any royalties. When my channel hits 100,000 followers, just understand you were part of the first 3K. So that's a blessing. I've been posting Caspa in all the communities. They dwarf the size of the communities of every other token. Yeah, so Caspa is crazy. The social sentiment you get on Twitter, man, like we come together because we're not just some big institution that's pouring money into it, So things to consider. Caspa's for the small guy. We're fighting for the small guy over here. Best Sui meme coin. I'm going with Sui. All right. So if you don't know anything about the Cetus collapse, man, that thing wiped out the meme community for Sui. And that's something to consider. I own some Sudang, which was like the Sui version of Hippo, which is like Mudang. If you heard of Mudang, the viral sensation, you got the Hippo, it's like super cute. I actually own 2 different tokens. I own Mudang, which is Solana, and then I own the Sudang. And anyways, all those memes got really rugged when the Cetus exploit happened. But if I had to put my bet on one of them, I might go with Lofi or Blub. And that's like the OGs. I actually hold Blub. The Caspa poll for Mood Madness. Yeah, Kryptoni, there's a Caspa poll. Last poll we did like 2K votes. So I doubt this one will overdo it, but who knows? Been posting it in front of 300K people. Oh, okay. So Kryptoni, you're the one that's pulling through. Appreciate it, brother. Good stuff. Stay safe, everyone, says Crypto AI. Super cute, says Kenny G. Right. Y'all can't tell me that little hippo that's running around and got the children. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What's going on over there with that Instagram page. So, all right. I don't see any other questions. We got about 55 viewers in here. That's cool. I am Crux of Crypto. I go live Monday or Tuesday, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I talk about crypto. So thank you guys for supporting and tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.